Yo, I ain't really looked at the numbers of yesterday, like how we did. But I'm pretty sure it's good. I'm at home as I said, so we here early. Anyways, let's get right into it. I'm gonna set up all my other devices.
It's been 1 week since the conclusion of Daredevil Born Again, and still everybody is asking one big question. Where is Spider-Man during all of this? We know that Spider-Man Brand New Day is releasing next year, right after Daredevil Born Again Season 2 releases. We also have a major Avengers movie that Tom Holland is supposedly absent from in between the two. But in today's video, we are going to theorize where Spider-Man could be and how the events of Daredevil Born Again will play into Spider-Man Brand New Day. Okay, so Daredevil Born Again ends with Kingpin declaring martial law in New York City, outlawing costumed vigilantes, and Matt Murdock beginning to form an army of civilians to take on Kingpin's new rule. We also know that for the past 4 years, Peter Parker has pretty much entirely given up his alter ego. Spider-Man is the main focus of his life at this point. And we know that the rights of Spider-Man and any supporting characters are currently locked down by Sony, who is kind of playing ball with Marvel, but there are restrictions preventing him from appearing on any live-action TV show. This completely rules him out of Daredevil Born Again. And we also know from Vincent D'Onofrio that Wilson Fisk has similar restrictions preventing him from appearing in any MCU movies. Now, D'Onofrio is pretty fearless when it comes to talking about the inner workings of Marvel. He's the first to put down rumors about his character appearing in certain projects, and he's just generally more open about talking about what's going on behind the scenes. So we have a lot of red tape interfering with Spider-Man's ability to interact with this storyline. And while that is a detriment to the MCU, who doesn't want to see Daredevil and Spider-Man teaming up against the Kingpin together, I don't think it's something that's going to be fully ignored going forward. Let's first discuss the tone of the MCU. Spider-Man is predominantly a character aimed at all audience members. Daredevil, on his own anyway, is aimed at a much more mature audience. So it wouldn't make sense for Spider-Man to have a major storyline that impacts the character, appear on a mature-rated TV show that much of the audience wouldn't be able to engage with, and allow that to carry over to the next big movie he appears in. But let's talk about how this storyline could have repercussions for Spider-Man Brand New Day. After the title was announced, I began rereading the Brand New Day storyline just to refamiliarize myself with all of the characters and events that happen in that comic and could appear in the movie. Now, Sadie Sink has been confirmed to be cast in the movie and will most likely appear as Jackpot. Jackpot was a government-sanctioned superhero that appeared following the Superhero Registration Act covered in Civil War. Now, at the beginning of Brand New Day, because of the Registration Act, Peter Parker is trying not to act as Spider-Man. Something I think we could see in Brand New Day that would kind of reflect what is going on in New York City in Daredevil Born Again. Now, one of the biggest characters that appear in Brand New Day and is rumored to appear as the main villain of Brand New Day the movie is Mr. Negative. Now, I'm sure a lot of people were introduced to this character through Insomniac's Spider-Man game, which is another place I think we might see some inspiration taken from in Brand New Day. After all, that game kind of starts with the arrest of Wilson Fisk. I'm wondering if that too could be the cold open of the movie with some cameos from Daredevil and any other characters that may have appeared in Born Again Season 2. That way we can introduce the concept of vigilantes being outlawed in New York City for anybody who hasn't watched Daredevil Born Again. I also think that it gives Daredevil Born Again the opportunity for its big climax to happen in a movie rather than with a lower budget TV show. Now, there are upsides and downsides to that. The biggest downside is we would kind of have Spider-Man hijacking a major character moment for Daredevil. The upside, though, is that we get Spider-Man and Daredevil teaming up on screen just like we've always wanted to see. Again, this is just a possibility for what they could be doing for the opening of Brand New Day. The flip side of that is that we get kind of news reports kind of filling in the audience on what has been going on in New York City with the highlights of the events from Born Again. That way we can get an explanation of why Spider-Man wasn't present on that show, and explain why he took a break from crime fighting in general, leading to his big return in Brand New Day. Now, both Brand New Day and the 2018 Insomniac game feature a key character that will not be present in Brand New Day, and this is a key character that will be linked with Martin Lee, Aunt May. Now, she passed in No Way Home, but both that movie and Far From Home established her as working at Feast. Again, if you're familiar with the Insomniac game, Feast was started by Mr. Negative himself, Martin Lee. And in both the game and storyline, Mr. Negative makes a play to become New York City's main crime boss. In the game, it follows the arrest of Wilson Fisk, which could happen at the conclusion of Born Again Season 2, or as I stated before, at the beginning of Brand New Day. So what about our other supporting characters that we've met in previous Spider-Man movies? What about MJ, Ned, and a character who does play a pretty significant role in the Brand New Day storyline, J. Jonah Jameson? It was confirmed that MJ and Ned will appear in the movie, but in a much smaller role than what we've seen before. Now, something I didn't talk about before is the fact that Brand New Day adapts certain elements of the storyline that preceded Brand New Day, One More Day. The biggest aspect being that nobody knows who Spider-Man's alter ego is. The comic does take that much further though. In a deal with Mephisto, Peter Parker surrenders his marriage to Mary Jane Watson in order to regain his secret identity and retcon a whole bunch of related events, including the death of Aunt May in the comic. Now, the movie version is a bit more simplified. Everybody's memory of Peter Parker was essentially wiped. But a lot of people have questioned what that meant for certain events, like in the Avengers movie where he is unmasked for much of it, or other major recorded events like everybody finding out Spider-Man's secret identity. The way the comic explains this is that people kind of have a loose memory of Spider-Man unmasking himself, but nobody remembers who it was under the mask. And I'm pretty sure that's how we're going to see it carry over. We saw this play out in the extended edition of No Way Home, where any picture of Peter Parker was just obscured slightly so that his face wouldn't be shown. And one big question many fans had after the conclusion of Spider-Man Home was whether or not Ned Leeds and MJ are in a relationship. The Brand New Day comic storyline features MJ in a relationship with an actor known as Bobby Carr, but I could see the movie streamlining this by just having her get together with Ned in the meantime instead. This could also push Ned's character further into having a hatred for Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and ultimately becoming the Hobgoblin, which is where the character's namesake comes from. Now, Ned Leeds in the movies is a completely different character than Ned Leeds in the comics, but concept art from No Way Home shows that they had the idea to include light allusions to Ned Leeds as Hobgoblin in that movie. The last thing I want to touch on is the relationship between Peter Parker and J. Jonah Jameson in this upcoming movie. Now, it's not confirmed whether or not JJJ will appear in the movie, but I feel like that can't just be the end of his character after the conclusion of No Way Home. We have to see him have a relationship with Peter Parker. And the Brand New Day arc is a pretty interesting one that looks at the dynamic between both of those characters. The Daily Bugle is in the middle of a financial crisis, which results in J. Jonah Jameson having a heart attack after Peter loses it on him for not paying him fairly. Now, there are some big differences between this version of Peter Parker and J. Jonah Jameson compared to the one featured in the comics. I'm not going to go through them all, but this version of Peter Parker has never really expressed any kind of enthusiasm for photography, and JJJ is more of an internet presence in the MCU compared to the comics running a newspaper. So the way they could alter this is having Peter kind of act as a videographer for the Daily Bugle and just kind of giving it that modern update. That seems like the easiest aspect to go for here, but that's all I have to say about Spider-Man Brand New Day. What do you think about all of my theories, and do you have any of your own for this movie? I haven't even touched on the connections it could have to Avengers Doomsday yet, and it's something I'm working on for another video. But also, I didn't want to squeeze and condense this all into a 1 to 2 minute clip video, so let me know down below if you enjoy this longer, more expanded version of our content that we typically have here on this channel, and we'll start making a lot more if you all seem interested. That is going to do it for this video though. Thank you all for watching.
Brand New Day is a Spider-Man movie, not a Spider-Man and his friends. I want it to be just Spider-Man. You know, like how No Way Home was. It was about the other Spider-Man came in, but it was always about Spider-Man. I don't know. Maybe I'm speculating. Maybe it needs to be more about the other characters. I don't know. I don't make movies. I just want to star in them. Anyways,